pervert in a porn before. She looks at him and she goes, "Oh my God, it's so black." Now, first of all, I had never felt a boner turn into a question mark before. Like it got cursed by the Riddler. Like my dick cocked its head like a dog that wasn't sure if we were going for a ride in the car. And number two, I didn't know what to do with that information, so alone in my apartment to nobody, I yelled, "How black is it?" I did not receive a response. You guys are fun. You guys are into it. It's good to be here. We have a very diverse crowd here. You guys look interesting. Some of you were probably raised Catholic. Some of you were raised Jewish. I was raised racist. I have since converted. I feel like that's an important piece of information. I grew up in Orange County, which, as we all know, is the factory where they build the angry white people. Right, there's the big flag when you drive in. Just come for Disneyland. Stay for some pretty strong opinions about Mexicans. Trying to get credit on the money. And I grew up here, and here's the thing, I meet people all the time who are like, "Oh, my parents were racist." They were like, "Oh, we gotta cross the street, it's those other ones." And that is adorable. But that's like casual racism. I was raised Hasidic racist. This is true, and I really wish it wasn't. My stepdad, when I was growing up, had a tattoo on his stomach of a swastika. Okay, so you all know the one. Now around the swastika he had the words "white power." Now first of all, this made pool parties very uncomfortable in my childhood. And number two, me and him had a conversation at one point where he explained to me that he got these tattoos like at 2 separate times, like this was 2 different trips to prison. And he never explained what order he got the tattoos in. But like, there's no way he got white power first and left all that room in the middle. So what I like to imagine is at some point he had to have just had a swastika, and then he was just looking at it in the mirror like a girl trying on a swimsuit. Just like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like it. It's not crooked or nothing, just... It feels subtle. Is it too subtle? Like, I don't know. Should we tag it up? Like, I know I don't like him, but how are they gonna know? That's... By the way, when did we all agree that Old English was the official font of hate? Because I didn't describe the tattoo, but you all pictured the same tattoo. We're all on board. So I'd just like to do a quick assessment of the room. You guys were kind of on board for that joke. The one white lady was a little too on board for that joke, and then this table might kill me in the parking lot. So that's where we're at. That's fun. I'm just going to address the elephant in the room right now, by which I mean my shitty melting nightmare of a body. I'm a fat man, and that's okay. I've been fat for a while. I'm super good at it. Like, I feel like I've achieved top score. Because I used to be, like, bummed out about being this fat. Like, I used to be just like, "Oh man, girls don't like me, so I'm going to buy a fedora." Like, that used to be... That was my personality. That was just, all my shirts have dragons on them. Like, that was... Just looked like the loneliest member of a ska band, just walking into a home-down buffet alone. Now I just own this shit. I'm like, real men have curves. This is fine. I'm good. Because you got ladies, you know, all this is just more cushion for the dying alone. The only thing that sucks about it is every once in a while, like, I get into a situation that reminds me that I'm not like other people. I had one recently. It's anytime I do an online dating profile. Because if you go on any of these websites, if you go on OkCupid or eHarmony or Grindr if you party, it's a very knowing laugh for Grindr. There's always a drop-down menu. It's like the first thing you have to do, and it says select your body type. And the first 3 options are always the same. It'll say like skinny, medium, athletic, and I'll be like scroll, scroll, aggressive scroll. And then there's always like a fat guy option, but they never want to just say fat. So it always just says like, more to love, or fucking muffins and sunshine. Just like a parent calling you husky because they don't want to tell you you're going to lose your foot in 10 years. I'm just like, don't talk down to me, man. I came here to get my dick wet. Don't treat me like I'm 5 years old. I just want to see a drop-down menu that accurately reflects my body. I want to see skinny, medium, athletic, sloppy lesbian hobbit. What if the inside of a lava lamp was a person? Jonah Hill between movies. And then Fat Fuck McGillicuddy or whatever the last one is. Here's the thing. I'm not even worried about being fat to like be attractive anymore. I just am worried that people think I'm a shittier person because I'm this big. I did a show recently, and after the show, a lady came up to me in the parking lot, and I had not spoken to this woman before the show. We had had no interaction, and she's like, "Hey, you were really funny," and I was like, "Oh, thanks." And she goes, "Yeah, it's weird because when you went up there, I turned to my friend and I was like, I'm worried he's gonna say the N-word." And I'm like very confused. And then I looked at my body and I realized, like, oh, I have the exact body of everyone that's ever committed a hate crime. It's true though, up here is fine. Up here is just free love, Bernie Sanders. And then you get like below the neck and it's just like, the Jews are starting a war on Christmas. Like I have a dad bod, but it's the dad of a suicidal gay teenager. Does that make sense? Like my torso makes a statement, and that statement is, we play football in this house, Brandon. But I want to dance. Guys are cool. Is anybody here gay? Get him! No, I was kidding. It was a trick, motherfucker. Welcome to Orange County. No. I love gay people. That's not even true. I don't really give a shit about gay people. What I really love is fighting with homophobes on the internet. I feel like that should be our, right, oh my god, oh, it's the best. That should be our national pastime, because fuck baseball. This happened recently. I got in an argument with a guy on Facebook, and his opening argument against gayness is he goes, well, you know what the Bible says? It's Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. Now, first of all, if you're in this room and you agree with that, do me a favor. Rip your dick off, throw it into an active volcano. We don't need you on this planet. Thank you, one lady. Second of all, here's what I love about that phrase. So that Adam and Steve thing, that's like an old cliche now, like it's been beat to death, we've all heard it a million times. Somebody had to think that up for the first time. Like there was some angry redneck just sitting in a trailer in Fresno somewhere, just stewing, just like, God damn it! I hate queers! But I love wordplay! What am I gonna do? Like what did that dude think was gonna happen? He was just gonna go into a gay bar and just start slapping appletinis out of people's hands. Just Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. And they were gonna be like, well, let me check my Bible on this one. And just like, oh, Steve's not even in there. Like, no. It's not gonna happen. His follow-up line though blew my mind. He goes like, I'm straight, and I'm worried that all these gays in America are gonna try to convert me. Yeah, I'm gonna be sitting around minding my own business, thinking about trucks and freedom, and they're gonna sneak up on me in the night and use their faggot voodoo and turn me swishy. And I was like, are you thinking of vampires? Because that's who does that. Like, gay people do not have superpowers, they just have a better apartment than you. Like, that's... Like, there's two things wrong with that. First of all, I do shows at gay bars all the time. The hottest dudes are already gay. Straight men, none of them want you. Fuck off. I did a show in West Hollywood like 2 weeks ago. Every dude in there looked like Hitler won, but also Puerto Rican. Like, I don't know how it happened. Just these sculptures made of jawbones and fudge, just swaying in an imaginary breeze. And second of all, that feels like real flimsy logic to me. Like, oh man, I wasn't gonna be gay. You talked me into it. Like, fucking what, bro? Like, because I've met a bunch of Mormons and I'm still not a Mormon. So, like, I don't know, maybe just say no. Like, if you can get talked into sucking a dick, you were just gonna suck a dick. It might not have been that dick, it might not have been tonight. But at some point, somebody was gonna be like, you, me, this, go. And you were gonna be like, well, it's on the bucket list. And fucking... Like, you're not gonna get hornswoggled into it. It's not green eggs and ham. I would not, could not, in a box with a fox suck these cocks. All right, you guys seem cool and not assaulty, so I'll tell you guys this. I am bisexual. Okay. First of all, thank you very much. Second of all, shut up. Like it's not an achievement. You can all do it right now. Like, you just gotta put some stuff in your mouth you weren't planning on. Like, here's the thing though, whenever, it just happens, so it's a great example. Whenever I say that at shows, there's a split reaction, because the women in the room always applaud. Because they're like, oh hooray, he's 50% less likely to follow me to my car. Like, that's... But then the men in the room, there's always the same reaction. The guys just kind of clam up a little bit, and you see their arms go crossed, and they're like, oh man, we trusted you. Like, we thought you were one of us. Yeah, being bi is, it's pretty great. Like, here's the thing. Your sexual orientation is not a choice. You're born that way. But if it was a choice, holy shit, pick this one. It's amazing. Because I get everything. Like, I get the fun parts of being gay without any of the scary parts. Like, straight men in the room, I have access to things you do not. I can go to brunch alone on a weekday. I have parades available. Glory hole. Sir, have you ever been to a glory hole? Dude, you're missing out. It's a drive-thru for cum. What's wrong with you? Get on my level. So I get all that, but then if I walk out of this show and a pickup truck comes up and they're like, you seen any queers? I can be like, haha, I love pussy. And I pass the polygraph test. Like, the flag for bisexuality should just be like a gay kid getting kicked in the ribs and me like, well, I bet that sucks. And then just peacing out. I'll tell you the one thing that sucks about it though. I do shows in real, like, rowdy, like, sports bars, which are not as progressive as you might think. And every single time I talk about being bi, there's always one man at the end of the night. And he always comes up to the bar to give me shit. And first of all, he is 400% of the time wearing a Raiders jersey. It's non-negotiable. Like, if he wasn't wearing one before, he grows one on his way to the bar. Like, out of his pores, like the black Spider-Man suit, just with the power unleashed. But this guy will always come up to me in the bar, and he'll, like, give me shit, and he'll try and gay bash me, he'll knock my drink over. But he always does it in a very suggestive way. Like, it's always some variation on, like, what's up, fucker? I bet you love it if, like, we went in the bathroom right now, and you suck my fucking dick? And I'm like, I would not love that, sir. But if we're being honest with ourselves, I feel like you might. Like, because you brought it up. I was just trying to have a gin and tonic. You decided to talk about dick sucking. Like, you're leaving a trail of breadcrumbs to your butthole, and I don't appreciate that I'm being implicated in that. I just want one of these dudes to come up and be, like, super aggressive, but also super honest. Just, like, knock my drink over, like, what's up, fucker? I bet you'd love it if, like, we went on a few dates and shit, and got to know each other really well, and I told you about my childhood pets and my hopes and dreams or whatever, and then, like, we fucking date, and it works out really well, and maybe, like, 5 years from now, we move to Vermont and shit, and, like, I open up a fucking bakery, and you focus on your woodworking, and, like, we buy this fucking cottage dog, and we paint the door a different color every year, so at the end of our lives together, we encounter experiences, like the rings of a fucking tree and shit, and then, like, I don't know, fucking maybe one day we're 80, bro, we're laying in bed on Christmas morning, and we hear our grandkids run downstairs, and I lay my head on your chest, and I hear your fucking heartbeat, and I'm like, oh, yo, dog, you were always the drum of the symphony that was our lives together. Yeah, you love that, you fucking faggot! I just want to be romanced. That's all I'm saying. Oh, man. I had a lot of dumb jobs in my life. Dumbest one I've ever had. I used to work at Disneyland. Does anybody here work at Disneyland? Okay, I knew. I'm dead inside. Fantastic. Well, that's the rules, though. If you live in Orange County, you have to work there. They draft you like the military. Like, if you go back and rewatch any of your Disney VHS tapes from like the 90s, there's a little warning at the end that's like, by the way, if you live within 50 miles of Anaheim, we're taking your kid. Good. But I worked there for 4 years, and I'm going to tell you guys a secret. Every employee you meet at Disneyland, for the most part, are the friendliest people in the world. And there is a reason for that, and it's that we are all on fucking drugs. You guys know. And some of you, I'm sure, will smoke a joint before work, and that's adorable. But I'm talking about fucking drugs, like Lindsay Lohan drugs, like severe shit. This is a game we used to play where I worked at Disneyland. We had like an orange trick-or-treat pumpkin that we hid in our office, and it was halfway filled with candy, and then halfway filled with pills. Now, I know you're wondering what kind of pills, and the answer is yes. Now, the game you would play is you would reach in there without looking, you would stir it up, and then you would just grab 5 things, and then you would eat all 5 of those things at once. And that game is called, Oh No! I don't know what you guys have seen in your lives, I don't know what you've experienced, but none of you have ever had to meet Mickey Mouse after 3 Oxycontin, a Viagra, and a grape Skittle. Tell you guys one Disneyland story and then I'll get out of here. My favorite part of working there is every once in a while you would see famous people at the park, and 9 times out of 10 it was like a boring famous person. It was like, oh, Mario Lopez wants to ride a teacup, whatever. But every once in a while you'd see somebody who had no place being at Disneyland. And one day I was coming into work and there was a churro cart. And there was a line for that churro cart, and at the end of that line was Ice Cube. Now some of you understand why that's insane, and some of you are very white. Some of you, it's just, for anybody who doesn't know, here's what Ice Cube is. Once upon a time, fuck the police was just an idea we all had. And then one brave poet reached into the sky and turned that into $1 billion and a career in children's films, somehow. But Ice Cube is in line with the churro. He's got like 4 of the biggest, blackest dudes I've ever seen in my life, like flanking him, like bodyguard-looking guys. And he gets to the front of the line, and he's like, let me get a strawberry churro. Then I look at the kid working the churro cart, and it's a buddy of mine named Kevin. 2 things you gotta know about Kevin. Number 1, he's like 19 years old, very sweet kid, this is his first job. Number 2, I don't think Kevin had ever met a black person before. And if you go from no black people in your life to Ice Cube, that is a big day for Kevin. And Kevin starts like stuttering and stammering, and I realize what's about to happen. He has to tell Ice Cube that they're out of strawberry churros. Now at this point, I pull out my phone, and from work, I call work, and I go, hey, you know what? I'm gonna be late. Something came up. And then I just sit down and wait. Now he tells them they're out of the churro, and I want you guys to just imagine for a moment that you're Ice Cube. You survived South Central, you beat the rap game, you have all the money in the world. My question to you is, how mad are you gonna be about not getting the right flavor of fried dough? If your answer is so mad that you call Kevin a motherfucker 8 times, congratulations, you're Ice Cube, because that's what happened. He lost his fucking mind. Like, he was madder about the churro than he was at the LAPD for killing all his friends in the 80s. Like, that's... He walks away, I swear to God, he looks back at the card and he goes, I'm gonna be back, motherfucker. And I'm like, oh shit, call the Crips, we have to protect it. Postscript to that story, I followed Ice Cube around for the rest of the day. I called out of work, I'm like, I'm not coming in. There are pressing matters at hand. And I followed Ice Cube, which means 2 things got to happen. Number 1, I got to watch the scariest man in America try to mean mug it on a merry-go-round. Just fucking... Yeah! And number 2, he's with these giant dudes, and like, I kept thinking his wife and kids were like around and they were gonna show up at some point. They never did. Ice Cube and 4 of his scariest friends went to Disneyland alone. What is that phone call? Like, hey yo, what up, it's Cube, we roll into Anacrime, leave your bitch at home. Like, I like to imagine, at the end of the day, just Ice Cube sitting in bed, and in my imagination, he wears like old-timey Bert and Ernie pajamas, and like a sleeping cap that's just doffed to one side, and just fucking, Dear Diary! Today, I rode Space Mountain 3 times in a row. I took a picture with Pluto and he didn't say shit. I found a strawberry churro in Fantasyland. Fuck you, Kevin! All that shit. And I didn't have to use my AK. I got to say, it was a Disney day. All right, you guys have a good night. Thanks.
Carey, everybody. Okay, hey. Would anyone like to hear the funniest fat joke I've ever heard in my life? Yeah. Absolutely, okay. Comedian buddy of mine, referring to Keith, but this could apply to me or any other fat comedian, said, and I quote, when Keith chokes on a piece of food, it comes back up deep fried.